Welcome back to Rock Crawling Jeeps. It's a big day. Matter of fact, it's a huge day. Someone may even say like huge. It's a huge day. We have an axle. We kind of skipped the filming part. It was nice and warm, and then it snowed like 8 inches. So instead of filming, getting it from the shop out here to the garage, we just rolled it out from the garage, and we went ahead and got a couple of the control arm points in. We got our shock kind of mocked in. We still have to put some bolts in and do some fine tuning. However, we have confirmed that it fits, it is in, and it's gonna be super wide. Like, this is a little, it has to go about 3/4 of an inch that way, but still crazy wide, especially when we put these 39-inch BFGs. So we got some work to do. We're gonna do some trimming again. We'll probably just take it out to this bit right here, cut the bumper to match, and remove all the inner fender stuff, relocate the charcoal canister. Super easy stuff, but we'll document that when we get there. Today is all about control arm adjustment, getting the front end under its own weight for the first time since September. And well, we're gonna get to work on that. Boom, bushing. Now we just get that on there and we're golden. Track bar is a no-go, but it's not a huge deal. We kind of figured it would be. Andy's gonna send us one that's just a straight bar. It'll work out really, really nice, but this is what it is. Not a huge deal. We kind of saw it coming, so on to the next thing. Get these control arms adjusted and start popping stuff in and cutting this and seeing what that looks like in terms of going into that pivot arm there. We did a good bit of control arm adjustment. I think we did, what did we do, like 2.5, almost 3 inches on the lowers, and whatever set our opinion right on the uppers. I didn't bother measuring them first. But take a look in here. I want to show everybody kind of what we're working with. The drive shaft is just zip tied in there because it's the wrong size joint. So we can get that fixed here pretty soon. The stretch actually, I think, is going to allow us to use that U-joint, or not that U-joint, that drive shaft, which would be great. From the looks of it, I'm going to be able to run both the shafts that I was running before, which is huge for our time frame. The other thing is, control arms are in, adjusted, and this is kind of what we're looking like for a profile. This gives us plenty of room in the back. We are still going to come in and trim this top bit out and then make the bumper kind of follow along, and then all of this inner structure up right here is gonna go bye-bye. So we'll ditch all of this, we'll cut all that out, we'll relocate that charcoal canister, and you can really see just how far forward in the wheel well that is. But even so, our relationship from the coil spring post, sorry, the lighting is terrible right there. Coil spring post to the coil perch is pretty awesome. I think it's going to work out really, really well. That said, the front is pretty much knocked out for right now, so we're going to shift to the back, and I'll show you what we're going to do back here. So we got the back axle set in here, well, like 2 weeks ago? Yeah, 2 weeks ago. And what we did is we just kind of got it in there. We didn't really do a whole bunch more after that. We were working on the front, getting everything else done. So what we want to do is we've got it underneath the jack. We're going to shift one side back. We're going to mock these control arms into place. I think we may need to shorten them up a good bit. I think that was one of the reasons we stopped, is because we didn't have 2 crescent wrenches. We needed 2. One for the wrench flat here, and then one for the nut. And unfortunately, I have one really big one, the other one kind of big. So now we have Dylan's and mine. Super easy. We just did it on the fronts. So we'll shorten these up because our bracket placement is a little further up on the axle, meaning the control arm needs to be a little shorter to account for that location. So once we do that, we'll have these things set right in place, and we'll pull the back axle out. Everything's only tacked on this, so once we get it all confirmed that it works, we'll pull it out. We'll probably try and finish weld this in the next day or so. We've got our lowers mocked in. Everything's kind of where it'll live. And we've got our uppers almost exactly where I think we're like a 1/4 inch off. But we've marked our center line. Tomorrow, we're going to bring the welder from the shop up to the garage, and we'll throw some tack welds on that, make sure that we're happy with it, and then we're going to burn this thing home. So that'll be our final large welding project on this axle, meaning the final large welding project of our 1-ton swap. After that is done, it is gears, lockers, shocks, brake lines, getting all of the miscellaneous stuff figured out, and then we're ready to go hit the trails and see what this thing's capable of. We also have this minor dilemma of like no bead locks, so talk to us in the comments. You want to see a video about bead locks and why they're cool and what they do and how to mount them and all that kind of fun stuff. It's super fun with the torque wrench and like, you know, a day of your time. But yeah, in the back here, we'll probably clean this up again as well, bringing this up and making up some more room for them 39s. But man, I'm happy. What a way to wrap it up. We're going to continue this tomorrow. We'll see you then. Welcome back, guys. It is another wonderful night in the garage. So we are setting bracket placement on this Sterling 10.5. We've already got our coil buckets, our truss. We've got all that kind of roughly where we need it. And now we're going to use an angle gauge. And this is going to tell us exactly where we need to have it. That is 105 degrees, right? So we bring that in and we set that there, and that gives us our rough angles. Checked both sides. We are 105 degrees off the truss. So we're actually going to pull everything out. We're going to set those at 105 degrees on center, and then we're going to tack weld them in pretty heavy, and then we're going to put it back in. We'll go ahead and burn the lower control arms, the coil spring pads, all of that fun stuff. I can weld those uppers super easy under the Jeep if I need to, if we don't want to pull it again, but I'm 99% certain it's going to come out one more time just for gearing and paint and all of that other fun stuff. So not super worried about it. It's just in and out a couple times just to make sure everything lines up. We'll cycle our suspension all the way up and down, make sure we don't need to suck it in just a little bit. Bad part about sucking it in is I have a 39-inch tire that's going to try and play with my wheel well here. So it's just a big old balancing game of trying to keep the diff out of the gas tank. But I don't think it'll be an issue because I don't think we're going to have more than like 4 inches of up travel, which means that shouldn't get anywhere near this because we're going to use these wonderful things that I feel like half the off-road community doesn't even know about. And they're called bump stops. They're pretty cool. You should check them out. Also limit straps. Those things are pretty sweet too. But we're going to get to it. So see y'all in a minute. We are back to welding. It is my favorite time of the night, man. So we're just getting this completely locked in, everything nice and straight how we want it. And then we're gonna grab the old brackets here. We've got our center line right here, so we'll mark that completely across. Once we do that, we'll get the brackets touching on both sides, set them at 105 and burn them on. But I got more welding to do. Kind of taking a break. That welder puts out a ton of heat, which is a great thing and a bad thing. We don't want to warp any axle tubes. We don't want to cause any damage by throwing a bunch of heat at it. So I'm sure you'll notice I'm moving left to right, up, down. I'm going everywhere. Not every weld's gonna be perfect either. Like, I'll be the first to admit, I'm not a professional welder. I do all right, but I'm not a pro, and I don't claim to be. But I'm definitely good enough to do my own axle brackets and not worry about it. So we're just kind of taking a break, letting this kind of cool down just a little bit, and we're gonna keep moving across. And we went ahead and got our torch bottles refilled today because we ran out on the high pinion 60. And then we'll use them to heat this cast up, and we'll get this cast welded and wrapped up tonight as well. And then I think tomorrow we'll put it back under and see what it does. So we're gonna get back to welding here in just a minute. Check back in a bit. So we've gotten a ton of welding done on this axle. We still haven't done our cast, and that's okay. It's not the end of the world. We'll try and get to that tomorrow. However, we got our upper control arm mounts set. They're perfectly at 105 degrees apiece. We will have to run the perfectly shanked bolt. So we may wind up trimming and making that perfect, but that's not a huge deal. Again, I'm just really happy to see this pretty well welded up. We've got the front, what would you say, 95% of the way there? Like the front axle of welding, you know?
Okay, yeah.
The welding is 95% there. We're working out what we're going to do for our gear install this week. And I think we got, one more evening of welding on this thing?
Yeah, for sure.
So we'll do one more night of welding on this thing probably tomorrow. And then from there, it's paint, lockers, gears. We've got some exciting announcements as well. Some new involvement from some new companies. I'm very excited to announce it, but not yet. So, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Welcome back. It is another night in the garage. We have to correct a little something from last night. So, we set our degrees. We got everything right there. However, one of my buddies pointed out a small problem. Note that 4-inch bolt and how it's over the line. We were thinking we'd just trim it, but we're actually just going to add 1 inch of separation between the upper link mounts. That'll be good to go. So we're going to add some separation. We got our upper controller mounts tacked. We showed you how we set those up and how we added the separation. Now, we only tacked them because we weren't sure if that angle was going to maintain as we increased separation, and I didn't want any binding when we went to load the joints in. So we went ahead and threw like 4 tacks per mount. We threw it in. Works perfectly. They dropped right into place. No issues. Just as you'd expect with anything from Artec or Ironman 4x4 fab. That said, now we got to check and see what's going to clear. We don't know if we're going to have gas tank clearance with the pumpkin. We don't know what the upper link mounts are going to do. There's a lot of unknowns in terms of what's going to clear. So there's only one way to find out. Who thinks it's going to clear? Pause now, comment, tell me if you think it's going to clear. Just waiting for Dylan to make fun of my jack.
It's actually working today.
So, I don't know if you guys can see this, but I don't think we're ever going to have it this high. That would mean my 39 was like up here. However, look at all that clearance. So, I don't know if you can see this, but check out that upper link mount clearance up in there and the clearance on the unibody there with the arms. I mean, it just does not get better. So we're gonna lower it back down. Then we're gonna pull it out of here. We're gonna finish welding this thing. But I'd call that a success. All right, who's ready for a glimpse into the future? Check this out. Bam! centered roughly width, which holy hell, maybe a little bit more in, but not much more. And all I gotta say is like hefty, wimpy. I gotta do something about this in a hurry. I gotta get some wheels ordered, man. Like I gotta figure that out this week. So leave me a comment. Tell me what beadlocks you think I should run. Race line or otherwise, just tell me what you think would look good on here. I'm just curious what everyone thinks. So there's a glimpse into what we think. That's a 39-inch BFG. And I'm hoping this is going to be somewhere near ride height. So up travel be damned. Granted, we are going to cut the fenders again. We are going to move them up to here. So we'll gain a couple inches there. Not a huge deal. We'll go through that. We'll cut the bumper right along this line and give us a bunch more room back there. All easy things to do. Not a huge deal. But we got to get this axle out so we can get to welding. We got it test fit. We got it mocked up. We tested our travel. And that's it. We're done for the night. It got a little later on us, a little faster than we expected. So we're going to pick this back up in a day or two. We're going to pull it back out. We're going to weld that cast. It's just going to take far more time than we have tonight to preheat that, to weld it, to get everything perfect how we want it. So we're just going to wait. We still have 4 weeks until the...
Don't do the countdown.
Oh, I'm doing it. 4 weeks. So we are going to be in Moab, Easter Jeep Safari, Easter weekend. Last year we went first weekend. This weekend we're going second weekend. We're going to get in Thursday night. We'll be there Friday, Saturday, Sunday, leaving Monday. So if anybody wants to wheel with us, hit us up. We'll be out there with some of our partners, probably doing some trail rides with them. I can't wait to tell you about all the new development that we've had in the past week, but it's going to be awesome. That said, we'll see you guys in a day or two. Welcome back. Welcome back to Rock Crawling Jeeps, everybody. It is a wonderful Friday night. It's like 8-something. I don't know why I have this much energy, but I do. Maybe it's because we made an announcement earlier in this week, which was also 5 minutes ago, but it was earlier this week, that we joined Team Yukon Gear and Axle, and we're really, really excited. But we got to get back to getting this done, because if it's not done, I can't put the gears in, and then we don't have lockers, and then we can't go to Moab, and then, yeah, lots of bad things. So let's get this done. So, the other night when we were out here, we finished up getting everything mocked up, getting everything ready to go. Now that we've gotten that all taken care of, it's got to come back out one more time. So, we're going to take this axle out. We're going to get everything cleaned up, everything how it should be. We're going to weld the cast sections on the housing just like we did on that high pinion 60 up front. So we're going to grab up our torch set. We're going to heat that to roughly 450 degrees, and we're going to set some weld in there. And then we're going to get our upper control arm mounts welded. They're just tacked right now. And then we've got just a little bit of miscellaneous welding to finish up down there, just because we've really been trying to spread that heat around because we don't want to warp these axle tubes. So let's get to it. Reached that point in the night. We've got everything else welded up, minus our little coil pads. We're going to do those a little later. We want to have the Jeep on its own weight. We may actually shift them forward a little bit depending upon where the coil is going to sit in relation to how we wind up stretching the back and all of that fun stuff. But all of our structural welds are done with the exception of cast welding. So we're going to take our torch set here. We're going to heat up this cast and we're going to weld it. And that's simply for heat distribution and to try and prevent cracking on our welds. Cast to mild steel have crazy different cooling times per se. So one of them cools way, way faster than the other, and then that causes cracking. So what we're going to do is heat the cast, heat the metal, try and get it to a, what's what I'm looking for there? Like a median 450. Both of them are 450. We're going to go with that. So they're both going to be at 450 degrees. We're going to lay in the weld, then we're going to post-heat it while moving all around the axle to get that welded. And then once it's done, we're going to take this blanket and we're going to wrap this thing up. So we have quite a bit of welding to do. And yeah, we're going to get the torch out and start burning around. All right, guys. So we got our cast welded up. and we actually have that axle in the bed of my truck. We just got done painting it, and we're getting these things ready to go out and get geared this week. So we got all that Yukon gear and axle stuff from them, 538s, Yukon zips, the whole deal. We're taking those over to Agility Customs here in Salt Lake City this week. We're going to get those all geared up, and then we're going to get these axles final installed and start getting things ready for EJS. So, more paint. We got our quick spray job wrapped up. I know this was a little patchy. We do apologize. I'll just fill y'all in. We had a little welder issue, so we actually wound up taking the rear axle over to a buddy of mine's. We heated it there. We welded it there. And it's currently in the bed of my truck because we don't feel like dragging that really heavy thing back out. We may film ourselves struggling putting this thing in the bed of my truck because that's going to really suck. But we got the paint jobs done. We got everything taken care of. We have this awesome pile of gears and install kits and lockers and diff covers from Yukon. So one day this week, we're not sure what day yet, we're going to be over at Agility Customs. We're going to get these things installed, geared, ready to go. And once they come back, they're going under the Jeep for the final time. That's it. So we will be doing a final install on these axles within the next 10 days. So I'm really excited. We'll get some wheels. We'll get the 39s mounted up wherever those things are sitting. And we'll have a real roller. So then it's just small stuff, U-joints, shocks, this, that, and the other, and we'll take her on a first test drive and then probably replace the master cylinder because it won't want to stop. So we'll get it all figured out. But until next time, please make sure to remember to subscribe, comment, share it, do whatever you need to do to let people know about this channel and let them know about what we're doing, and we'll see you guys at EJS.